Chapter 1. Julie Winters set the platter of fries in front of the two women. "Enjoy." Across the common entrance and into the restaurant, the new guys were back, the ones who'd first showed up last week. They trailed the hostess, who sat them at one of the VIP tables. As with everyone else who frequented the restaurant of the Blue Mountain Country Club and Lodge in Silver Springs, Colorado, they were most likely celebrities of some kind, but she didn't recognize them. The rumor mill said they were from Europe, and, according to Ashlyn, their accents sounded like it. She retrieved an order of beer from Peter and had it sitting on the counter when Ashlyn approached to pick up the glasses. "They're back, without entourage," Ashlyn said as she filled her tray, keeping her eyes on the drinks. "Who's back?" Julie pulled out a lemon and cut it in wedges. Ashlyn would call her bluff, but Julie didn't want to admit she'd noticed the men had come alone today. Ashlyn raised an eyebrow but didn't comment. "They're asking for 2 Manhattans." "On it," Julie replied. She got Peter's attention and relayed the order to him. Julie served late dinners and snacks at the bar and didn't have the license to serve cocktails. Ashlyn worked at the restaurant waitressing the tables. They'd met 2 years prior and had become friends before deciding to share an apartment. Most of the time, their schedules at the Lodge restaurant didn't coincide. Wednesday nights were not as busy as the weekend, but tonight was more crowded than the usual midweek day. As Julie didn't have the time to spend on the internet keeping up with current events, she briefly wondered if there was a reason that had attracted more guests on this night. "I knew they wouldn't stay by themselves for too long," Ashlyn said, settling the round tray on the polished counter. Julie raised her head and glanced at the table. True enough, 3 model-looking women had joined the European men. Julie pulled out clean glasses. "Not surprised," she said under her breath. Ashlyn leaned against the bar while she waited for the next round of cocktails. "I'll say, one of them looks like the actor who plays Tarzan, and the other one like the new Superman." The comparison was spot on. Both tall, in their mid-20s, one blonde and the other one dark-haired with a cleft chin, dressed as if they'd just stepped off an Italian fashion runway. She couldn't tell the color of their eyes from this far. The dark-haired guy had the kind of smile that could make a woman forget her name, but the blonde one's expression seemed more genuine. What was his name? The thought stopped her, and Julie purposefully turned to the shelves behind the bar. How many times had she looked their way tonight? Pathetic. She was doing the same as all the other women who fawned over good-looking men. These men would never notice her anyway. They were surrounded by beauty queens, the kind with perfectly manicured hands, salon-paid highlights, and plastic surgery curves. Julie was the regular girl next door, the one nobody gave a second look. Brown hair, brown eyes, average height. She didn't actually mind the lack of attention. It helped her concentrate on what was important in her life right now, like graduating in 1 year. Until then, she was grateful this job helped pay her bills, even if, sometimes, the distractions of the male variety proved hard to ignore. 10 minutes later, when Julie had a moment to look up, the dark-haired guy sat with 2 girls, but there was no sign of the blonde one. She straightened and glanced at the table again, a slower gaze this time, since Mr. Tarzan wasn't there to catch her watching him. A little twinge of something she didn't want to think about pricked in her chest, and she quickly dismissed it. Why was she even thinking about a man who didn't know she existed? She hadn't served him, and he hadn't looked her way. End of story. "Julie," Peter said with a nod towards the end of the bar. She'd been so distracted, she'd hardly noticed the man sitting there. He wore a light salmon shirt, the sleeves rolled up to his elbows, with his arms leaning effortlessly on the polished wood, and an empty glass sitting on the round ceramic coaster. She hesitated a moment as she recognized the blonde man from the table. It was too late to ask someone else to take his order. She ran her palms down the side of her black slacks. "What can I do for you?"
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it. at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.